Imagine boarding a plane today without showing a passport. No immigration officer, no visa, no customs checkpoint. It sounds impossible, but for thousands of years, this was completely normal. Kings, merchants, pilgrims, explorers, and even ordinary families crossed borders with nothing more than their belongings, and sometimes not even their names written on paper. So how did people prove who they were? How did governments know who was entering their lands? And if there were no passports, what stopped criminals, spies, or invading armies from simply walking across a border? The answer is far more surprising than you might think. Today, the passport is one of the world's most powerful documents. Without it, international travel is almost impossible. Every year, billions of people carry passports across airports, seaports, and land borders. Yet for most of human history, passports barely existed. The idea that every traveler needed official government permission is actually very recent. For centuries, borders looked nothing like they do today. In many places, there weren't even clear borders at all. Travel was often dangerous, but not because of paperwork. Instead, travelers feared robbers, disease, wars, storms, and getting lost. So if nobody carried passports, how did the world function? To answer that question, we need to travel back thousands of years. Long before modern nations existed, people still traveled enormous distances. Merchants carried silk from China. Roman traders crossed Europe. Arab caravans crossed deserts. African kingdoms traded gold and salt across the Sahara. Pilgrims journeyed to holy cities. Explorers searched for unknown lands. Most rulers cared less about a traveler's identity than about whether they posed a threat or paid the required taxes. In many regions, travelers simply entered towns through guarded gates. Local officials might ask simple questions. Where are you from? Why are you here? What goods are you carrying? If the answers seemed reasonable, travelers continued their journey. Identity depended more on reputation than documents. A respected merchant was often recognized by local trading partners. Religious pilgrims carried letters from temples or churches. Messengers represented kings and wore official seals. In other words, trust was personal, not bureaucratic. Although modern passports didn't exist, some ancient civilizations used special travel letters. Nearly 2,500 years ago, the Persian Empire issued letters that requested safe passage for royal officials. One famous example appears in the Bible. Nehemiah received letters from the Persian king, allowing him to travel safely through different provinces. These letters didn't identify ordinary citizens. Instead, they asked local governors to protect important travelers. Later, medieval kings in Europe also issued documents known as letters of safe conduct. These papers guaranteed that a traveler could pass through foreign lands without being harmed, but only a tiny percentage of people ever received them. For everyone else, travel relied on trust, local customs, and luck. Everything changed as kingdoms grew stronger. Governments wanted greater control over their borders. Wars became larger. Espionage increased. Disease spread more rapidly through trade routes. Authorities began asking difficult questions. Who is entering? Where are they from? Why are they here? Can they be trusted? By the 18th and 19th centuries, many European governments started issuing official passports more regularly. Still, international travel remained surprisingly relaxed. In fact, before World War I, many people crossed European borders without passports. Then came one of history's greatest turning points, World War I. Governments feared spies, deserters, and enemy agents. Temporary border controls became permanent. Passports transformed from occasional travel papers into mandatory identification documents. Modern passports revolutionized global travel. They made international security stronger. They helped governments record migration. They simplified customs and immigration. But they also changed freedom itself. A journey that once depended mainly on trust now depended on official permission. Today, the passport is much more than a booklet. It represents nationality, identity, legal protection, and the right to return home. Something that barely existed for most of human history has become one of the most essential documents on Earth. The next time you hand over your passport at an airport, remember this. For thousands of years, travelers crossed continents without carrying one. Their journeys depended on reputation, relationships, and courage, not government-issued booklets. The passport didn't create travel. It transformed it. And that transformation quietly reshaped the modern world. Outro. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden history behind everyday life, subscribe for more stories about how the modern world came to be.